For a large modern business to operate effectively, there needs to be several layers of organisation. At the top, we have the corporate strategy or plan, which sets out the overall direction for the business, i.e., where are we aiming to get the business in 3 to 5 years. Supporting this will be a set of more detailed strategies that look to deliver change and improvement in various parts of the business. Each square in this patchwork represents an area of the business, say a directorate, and collectively they add up to the full range of functions and services that the business delivers. So the corporate plan and the specific strategies are responsible for driving change. The next layer down we have are policies. These are documents which set out the key aspects of services that we routinely deliver. And the key word here is routinely. And one strategy may impact upon several policies. Next layer down we have our procedures or guidance. These are much more granular documents which set out the how and the who for delivery of services. Due to the level of detail they contain, one policy might refer to several procedures to ensure there's the necessary clarity and accountability for delivery of those services. Businesses aren't always as thorough at documenting their procedures as they could be, leading to employees having to rely on picking things up from others and there being no one definitive source of the truth. Next, we have data flow maps. Now, most procedures and processes involve information, whether it be customers, assets, financial details, infrastructure, etc. And processes normally involve information either being created, accessed, changed, and or disposed of. And given the complexity of business systems and the intangible nature of digital information, the role of data in a process often has to be mapped so that it can be properly understood and the necessary data governance arrangements put in place. This setting out of the data flow is called data flow mapping and is an activity usually undertaken by the information governance team. Now, the final layer is the data elements. These are the individual data fields that we use to capture and retain information. For example, customer name, street number, cost, owner. The information that we use day to day to deliver services usually relies on many data elements brought together into meaningful records that can be used. So these policies, procedures, data flows and data elements are what define and deliver services. And all of this is subject to law and regulation. Making sure that our services comply is overseen by corporate compliance. For now, we focus on aspects of delivery, not change. And since generally organisations manage policies well, we'll start by considering the next layer down, procedures and guidance. Here you can see an organisation that has all of its procedures in place. Well-written procedures will set out in detail how services are to be delivered and how they are monitored. They set out the different roles and responsibilities in relation to each step, providing clear accountability. Since procedures are documented, they provide a means of sharing and collaborating at the point at which they are developed. And when things go wrong, they can be examined to see if improvements can be made. And since procedures usually involve business information, they should set out where new information is being created, where it is accessed and used, or where it is changed or disposed of. Over the last 40 years, computers have been increasingly used to help automate services. And so procedures have been delivered through digital means. To start with, these were standalone computers or systems which would automate relatively simple tasks. And of course, the moment there are computers and software, there are also digital flows of data. And as technology has improved, computers and software have become increasingly specialised and increasingly used by businesses. And so more and more processes and procedures have become automated. And the digital data flows have become longer and more complicated. The extent of progress and automation is such that computers and software with different purposes now speak to each other through integrations and APIs, and without the need for human intervention. Truly digital collaboration. Furthermore, this is increasingly happening in the cloud and not in the premises of the organisation itself. Today, employees within a modern organisation expect to be able to plug into highly automated systems. They expect to be able to use commonly used terms and to draw on accurate and consistent information, provided by dozens of digital systems working seamlessly together and with intricate and invisible data flows. This environment where employees expect to be able to collaborate, we can call the common data environment. Now, if we peel back the layer of procedures, we can look at the data flows in a little more detail. Data flows can be long and complex, often travelling across large parts of the business and using APIs or integrations to pass through several digital platforms on the way. For example, the development department of a housing association creates information about the height in metres of a property, right from the point of project proposal before construction has even begun. The same information is used throughout the construction by numerous teams and parties. At this stage, possibly the information flow has been stored in written documentation, on SharePoint, and is communicated through emails in Outlook. Now, once designed and then constructed, and the property is handed over to asset management and operations, the same information may be entered into the main housing system, for example, CX or open housing. It might be used by the repairs team when looking to service the building, and so be moved into the job planning software. It might be used by the fire safety team to determine the necessary fire safety measures, and so be pulled into an asset safety database such as Keystone. It might be used by customer operations or sales when looking to market the property, and so go onto a web-based sales system such as Rightmove. It might be used by the capital team in finance when maintaining their asset register, for example on Asset 4000. Or it could be used by the insurance team when looking to insure the property by downloading it into an Excel report and then transmitting it by email or through a procurement system to the insurer. Each time a different team picks up the same data at a point in its flow and uses it for its own particular purpose. But what if the term height is used differently by each team? For example, what if for the development team, height means the basement to the highest structural element on the roof? What if the fire safety need height above ground? And what if sales need the height of a particular floor within the building? When members of teams communicate, they often do so with the context used by their own immediate team. When communicating between teams, person to person, these differences are often identified and straightened out in the course of the conversation. But in the invisible, automated flow of digital data, the computer does not question, A height is a height. So whilst one team wants apples, another team wants pears, and another team wants oranges, without knowing it, they're all using lemons. And that's why for a truly modern and effective digital business, we need to peel back one more layer and consider data elements. As previously described, data elements are the individual data fields used to construct usable records. For example, floor height, building height, maximum height above ground. And to ensure the digital data that flows around a business is properly governed, we need to know and centrally record certain information about a data element. This is called metadata. We need to know a data element's unique reference name, its specific definition, where it originally came from, the source, where there are copies of the same information on multiple systems, on which system the master record is kept. If there are questions or issues with the data, then there needs to be a clear data owner who can be approached to ensure the issue is fixed. Where possible, automated data quality checks should be used to check the validity of data and flag any anomalies. And often, one data element will be related to others. For example, the height of a building might be related to whether a building is classified as high or low risk. And also, how long should the data be kept for, i.e. its retention period. And so that is our final layer. To finish, let's recap on some of the key ingredients needed for a common data environment. Firstly, you need properly developed and documented procedures. These will be business procedures that set out service delivery and deal with business rules and compliance, amongst other things. But also procedures that deal specifically with the governance of data. Data flow maps in combination with a clear understanding of the digital architecture so that it can be clearly established where and how data flows around the organisation. An organisation-wide data dictionary which captures the metadata of each data element. Data owners who have ultimate accountability for specific data elements stored within a business, so they can be called upon to deal with the issues of quality, completeness, security, retention, and more. Because of the complexity of data systems used within large businesses, levels of data governance, maturity, and the heightened risk of clashes and confusion, groups of data owners with leading stakes of overlapping data sets can come together to form data change groups, which oversee the governance of data in their business area. This can include changes to key procedures and routine changes of controlled data. Where possible, rather than reinvent the wheel, businesses should adopt data standards such as ISO 9000 for data quality or ISO 19650 for building information management, BIM, and other sector-wide data standards and definitions. Stepping back from these requirements, it's clear there needs to be careful consideration of what collaboration means in a modern, digitally enabled business, when much of the collaboration is now digital and automated, with routine human involvement only at the periphery. Human collaboration needs to be focused more on the design phase for monitoring and issue resolution. Finally, none of this will work if the necessary skills and knowledge are not sufficiently embedded across the workforce. So processes, guidance, and access to systems needs to be clearly presented and easy to find. Comprehensive training needs to be rolled out to the majority of staff so that they are empowered to engage and collaborate effectively within the common data environment.